everybody, Kristen here with Hooks, Books, and Wanderlust. Today I'm going to show you how to make my latest face scrubby pattern, the Bumble Puff Beauty Biscuit. Let's get started. The first thing you're going to need is a size 6mm or size J crochet hook. And I've got some cotton yarn here. I'm using Lily's Sugar and Cream. You can use whatever cotton you want to use. It's a worsted weight. And it's perfect for a scrap buster project because it doesn't use very much to make one of these things. So yeah, let's get started. The first thing that is notable with this pattern is that it is worked in the round. And to do that, I am going to make a magic ring or a magic circle. I do mine a little differently than the traditional method. So in case you haven't seen my video tutorial for that here on my channel, I'm going to go ahead and do this right here for you now. So the first thing I'm going to do, I've got my working yarn in my left hand and I've got my yarn tail in my right. And I am going to take the yarn tail and make a loop by crossing it over my working yarn. So again, working yarn is in my left hand. My yarn tail is in my right hand. And you can see where the yarn tail is sitting on top of the working yarn. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my loop and I'm just going to fold it down on top of my working yarn. So here's my working yarn. My loop is folded down. My yarn tail is in my right hand. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my crochet hook and I'm going to reach in and grab this working yarn that is going straight through the center of my circle here. And I'm just going to pull it up. When I go to hold my magic circle, this was one of the trickiest things for me when I was very first starting to learn how to do this. I always hold it now right here at the twist in the yarn. I find that way it keeps my circle from getting crazy big as I work my stitches into it. So I'm going to hold it there at the twist. And I am going to start my first round. I am starting my round with a round of puff stitches. And to do that, I am going to chain 2. So 1 and 2. Now a puff stitch is 3 or more half worked, half double crochets. It's a type of cluster stitch. And I'm going to work a variation where it's just 3 half worked, half doubles. You can do as many or as few as you want to make it more or less puffy. But for this, we're going to do 3. So the first thing is start a half double crochet. So you're going to yarn over, insert your hook into your magic circle, and pull up a loop. You'll notice now that you have 3 loops on your hook. The next thing is instead of finishing our puff stitch by yarning over and pulling through, by finishing our half double, instead of finishing the half double by yarning over and pulling through all 3 on the hook, we're actually going to make another half worked half double crochet. So I'm going to yarn over, insert my hook again into the magic ring and pull up another loop. Now you'll notice that I have 5 loops on my hook. Each time that I work another half worked half double crochet, it's going to add 2 loops to my hook. So I'm going to do this one more time for a total of 3 half worked half double crochets. So yarn over, insert your hook into the center of your circle and pull up your last loop. And now you'll notice that you have 5 loops on your hook. The last step is to yarn over and pull through all the loops on your hook. You'll finish with a chain stitch to secure your puff. Now, traditionally on a puff stitch, that chain stitch is counted as part of your puff stitch. So instead of having technically 2 stitches, a puff and a chain, you only count one of the whole thing counts as 1 stitch. For the purpose of this pattern, I am actually going to count my chain 1 that I used to close my puff stitch as a stitch in the round. So I'm going to continue on and make 5 more puff stitches. My yarn is rolling away on me. Okay, yarn over, insert into the ring, pull up a loop, yarn over, insert, pull up a loop, yarn over, insert, pull up a loop. I'm going kind of fast with these because I do have a video tutorial for working the puff stitch here on my channel. So definitely refer to that if you need further clarification on this stitch, because I'm going to kind of go through them a little quickly on this project. You can kind of tell when I stopped holding onto the twist of my ring here, it's gotten kind of a big circle. So I can just pull on my yarn tail a little bit and pull that back in. So let's see, I've got 4 puffs. I'm going to do 2 more. And last one. Close it off with a chain. And now I am going to pull that yarn tail and cinch closed my circle. And I'm going to close my first round with a slip stitch to the top of my puff. So I am actually going to, so if you look at it, you have your chain 2 here on the side and then the top of the puff right here. And this is technically your chain 1. I am actually going to pull it in a little bit and I'm going to go into that chain 1 spot right at the top of the puff, which will leave me with 1 less stitch all the way around, because if you should have 12 stitches, 6 puffs and 6 chain 1s. But I'm doing it that way just because I don't like the way that the chain 2 from the beginning of the puff is more pronounced when you go into the top of the puff. So I went into the chain 1. And all that means is that I'm going to add a stitch when I get done here with round 2. So I'm ready to move on to round 2. So if you're with me so far and you've got round 1 completed, it should look something like this. So let's go on to round 2. Chain 1 to start. You're going to single crochet into the same stitch that you slip stitched into to close the previous round. That's the top of your puff. Now you're going to work 2 single crochets into the chain space from the previous round. So this gap that we created between our puff stitches from the previous round is where we're going to work our 2 single crochets. 1, 2. Now anytime that you work more than 1 stitch into a indicated stitch like we just did, and we worked 2 single crochets into that chain space, that is called an increase. And that is what's very important to make sure that when you're working in the round, you don't end up with a bowl, you end up with something flat. So we increase there. Now our next stitch is going to go back into that top of the puff. We're going to do another single crochet. And then 2 into the chain 1 space from the previous round. And we're just going to continue like that all the way around. We're going to do 1 single crochet in the top of the puff and 2 single, whoops, I grabbed and split my yarn there. 2 single crochets in, I did it again, oh my goodness. There it is. Got extra splitty on me today. Okay, so 2 single crochets into the chain 1 space and continue around. And I've got my last repeat of this round here, and I'm going to finish by kind of pulling those guys apart and working my last 2 into that space. And then just like the previous round, I am going to slip stitch to the top, or to the top of the first single crochet of the round to close it. We are working in joined rounds. Pull that tight. So now after round 2 rather, it should look something like this. Almost kind of looks like a cute little wheel of some sort. All right, so moving on to round number 3. We are going to chain 1 and we are going to single crochet 2. That means single crochet into the first 2 stitches. Oops, sorry, I didn't mean to bump the camera. All right, so we've got a single crochet in the first 2 stitches, and then the 3rd stitch we are going to puff. So yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull up a loop, and yarn over, pull up a loop. Pull through all 3, chain 1. And here again, we are going to count that chain as a stitch in this round. So this is where we are working our increase this round. We have an increase because we have a puff and a chain in the same stitch. So let's do that again. Again, the pattern is single crochet 2, puff next, and chain 1. So we are going to single crochet into these next 2 stitches. And then puff into the next. Chain 1. Single crochet 2, 1, 2, and puff next. Chain 1. Single crochet 2, 1, 2, puff next. Chain 1. And just keep going in that same pattern all the way around. And single crochet. This is our last repeat of this round here. We're going to work a puff stitch into the last stitch. Chain 1, and then slip stitch to the top of the single crochet, the first single crochet of the round, to close it. And you'll notice now we are starting to get our little hexagon shape going. With the next couple of rounds, the last 2 rounds here, we are actually going to make that shape a little more pronounced. And I will show you how we're going to do that. So for this next round, round 4, we are going to chain 1. And we are going to single crochet 3. That means single crochet the first 3 stitches, starting with that stitch at the bottom of your chain 1, or where you joined from the previous round. So 1, 2, and sorry, I bumped the camera again, and 3 single crochets. In the next space here at the top of our puff, we are going to work a single crochet, a chain 1, and another single crochet all in to that same stitch. And we are going to do that to help give definition to our corners for our hexagon. And that is the pattern we're going to repeat all the way around. So we are going to single crochet 3. So 1, 2, 3, and then we are going to single crochet, chain 1, single crochet all into the next stitch. Single crochet, chain 1, single crochet all into the top of that puff stitch. Now we're going to single crochet 3, 1, 2, 3, and make our corner again, single crochet, chain 1, and single crochet all in the same stitch. Single crochet 3, 1, 2, 3. Sometimes it's a little tight getting into that top of that puff stitch, but you might want to leave it a little looser, maybe when you're working your rounds, if you have problems. One, 2, 3. Now we reached another corner. Single crochet, chain 1, single crochet. Single crochet 1, 2, and 3. And our last stitch here, we are going to see if I can get underneath it. A lot of times when I join from the previous round, it makes that really tight to get into. So we're going to single crochet, chain 1, single crochet. And now we'll slip stitch to the top of the first single crochet of the round to close. So you can see now that we are really getting that more pronounced hexagon look because we put that extra chain stitch into the corner there that really just kind of peeks it out and makes it more cornery, if that's a word. All right, for our last round, round 5, we are actually going to work a little bit of a mesh sort of. So you're going to work a single crochet and then you'll have a chain 1 and skip a stitch so that you end up with a little space, and then you're going to single crochet again. So we'll just keep repeating that pattern all the way around. So what we're going to do is we're going to chain 1 and we're going to single crochet into the base of that chain 1 where we joined the previous round to make our first single crochet. Then we are going to chain 1, skip the next stitch, and single crochet into the next. I keep popping the camera. I'm really sorry, guys. All right, now we are going to chain 1. And what you'll notice here is we've reached our corner from the previous round. Now, if you look at it, you can see where you have your single crochet is this little V here. The next V is your chain 1. And then the last V here in the corner is the last single crochet of your corner from the previous round. So we chained 1, that means we need to skip our next stitch. We're going to skip the single crochet in the corner, and then we're going to work that same sequence from that corner into the chain space we created in the previous round. So what did I do here? There we go. So I've got my chain 1, and I'm going to skip this stitch and I'm going to work a single crochet, chain 1, single crochet all into the chain space that I created in that corner from the previous round. But what's going to make it a little tricky is I'm going to kind of obscure the last single crochet in that corner with working this corner. And I still have to skip that stitch. So I'm going to chain 1 and I am skipping the corner single crochet, and I'm going to single crochet into the next stitch. It's getting a little obscured, so it's gonna look like maybe you didn't skip a stitch, but you did. It's there. So just make sure that you are skipping the correct stitch and working from there, because if you're like me and you get tripped up sometimes just not seeing that, then you'll end up off when you get to the next corner, and that's probably going to be why. So chain 1, skip 1, single crochet. Chain 1, skip 1, back to the chain in the chain space here. And we're going to single crochet, chain 1, single crochet, chain 1, and skip the last single crochet in that corner, single crochet into the next stitch, chain 1, skip 1, single crochet next, chain 1, skip 1, single crochet into the chain space in the corner, chain 1, and single crochet again. Oh, I made that really big. Did not mean to do that. There we go. Chain 1, skip 1, and single crochet next, chain 1, skip 1, single crochet next, chain 1, skip 1, single crochet into the chain space on our corner, chain 1, and single crochet again, chain 1, skip 1, double or single crochet into the next stitch, chain 1, skip 1, single crochet next, chain 1, skip 1, single crochet into the chain space of the corner, chain 1, single crochet, chain 1, skip the next stitch, single crochet into the next, single crochet, chain 1, skip 1, single crochet, chain 1, skip 1 into the corner, chain 1, single crochet back into the corner, chain 1, skip the second single crochet, and now you can slip stitch to the top of the first single crochet of your round to close your round. If you can get it in there. There we go. Having a moment here. There we go. And pull it tight. Now you have your Bumble Puff Beauty Biscuit. To tie off, I do the invisible slip stitch. So I'm going to go ahead and cut my yarn. And I'm going to show you this trick. You could have used it on the rounds in between, but I usually don't. I just save it for the end. It's just me. But what you're going to do is you're going to pull up your loop a little long, about 3/4 or an inch long or so. And you're going to take your hook and you're going to insert it from the back side of your work. Now, if you look at the top of the top of this edge here, you can see where the yarn tail of the working yarn is coming out of this stitch right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to insert my hook into the next stitch to the left from the back in the front, and I'm going to pull that loop Did I get it all the way on there? Yeah. Okay. Pull the loop all the way through to the back side of my work. So now I am looking at the back side of my work. You can tell because I've got my tail from the magic circle here on the back. And I'm going to, with my hook still in that loop, I'm going to grab the yarn tail and I'm going to pull it all the way through that loop. And then I'm just going to pull it tight and cinch it closed. So now you can't even tell where the knot was on the front. It's kind of a neat little trick, the invisible slip stitch. And then it's just a matter of weaving in your ends and then you're good to go. So that is it. I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial and this pattern. Drop me a note below if you have any questions or problems or anything that you would like to see. As always, thanks for watching. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Thanks guys. Bye.